Hello everyone and welcome to the Train Sim World November Roadmap I'm joined today by our fantastic executive producer, Matt Pedalston.
Hi Alex, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. This is my first roadmap stream I'm hosting, so for anyone in the chat, you're wondering where JD is. He decided he didn't want to come on today, so he's given me the job. But no,
He's
you're gonna
driving.
be
I think
in.
he's driving home, isn't he?
Oh yeah, that old thing. He couldn't
Probably
do it
stuck
while
on the
driving.
probably stuck on the M25 or something. Really
Exactly.
enjoyable.
So I'll be your host tonight, and let us know how the audio levels are. That's an important thing that we always need to do when we're starting our streams. So if I need to turn this up, just let us know in the chat because I've got an eye on it. But yes, welcome to the roadmap stream. Here's how it works if you're new. We're gonna summarize the roadmap, and we've already released an article talking about a lot of the stuff in the roadmap, but we're here live now. We're gonna summarize it. We're gonna talk a little bit about what we've done over the last month, and then also talk about what's coming up in the future. And actually, just glancing quite quickly on what's happened in the last month. Well, we've seen improvements since the launch of Train Sim World 4, the recent launch that was back in September. We've also had the Vectron and Scotsman individual loco DLCs released, and also just a small thing, we've had the TSW4 soundtrack release. Now, those aren't the exciting bits. We want to get on to the roadmap overview, so let's jump into it. I'm going to boot up the image for the screen, so I hope you can all see this, and I'm going to read through it. Some of the text is a little small. Good audio, glad. Thank you for everyone in the chat saying that. And let's talk through it. So this is the roadmap updated graphic for November 2023. First thing is coming up in the 0 to 3 months category is we've got a winter core update. We'll get into more details of that later, but just touching on it lightly, we've got formation designer, suspension improvements, as well as mini HUD improvements, and that wasn't on the previous graphic. In terms of add-ons, obviously you know about Maintalbahn, and this is, I wrote down how to pronounce this, but so it should be Aschaffenburg in Germany. Now you can butcher me all you like. That is to Miltenberg. So obviously that's coming up soon. We have a US route that is unannounced, but that's coming soon, as well as the Blackpool Branches. This is our next release coming out in just a week today. A Bernina line, a brand new Swiss route that also touches just onto Italy as well. We're going to be talking about that very shortly, but also a couple of Rivet gameplay packs. So obviously Bernina line was made by Rivet Games, our partner. But they've also made a couple gameplay packs for Edinburgh, Glasgow's ScotRail Express, as well as the Arosa line. So we're going to be talking about all of this and also introducing a new partner to the program, which is SimTrack Studios. So we're going to be talking a little bit about what they've got coming up and how they want to work with us in the future. So that's kind of the immediate. In the next 4 to 6 months plus, you can see we've got a range of different routes, US routes, UK routes, German, Austrian, as well as a couple different packs, one from SimTrack, a UK one from Rivet Games, and a whole bunch of different improvements. So some of them are Midland mainline improvements, which again we're going to be talking about today, as well as editor improvements, and a few things that we're just working on in the background, such as a Köln-Aachen timetable update, and a few other things. So that's the roadmap graphic. Cameras on, breathe. Matt, anything you want to add to that before we kind of really dive into the starting off with the Blackpool kind of content?
I mean, the big thing for me, and I want to give a big shout out not just to the partners, but to the third party team in general, Steve and Ryan, are just doing an amazing job of working with new developers and existing developers, and just the amount of third party content that's becoming available in this period, this short window, is tremendous. So yeah, no, they've been working really hard with them, and there's a lot more studios and a lot more developers aside that they're working with. So it's kind of like the tip of some exciting times actually, which has been kicked off largely by the launch of the editor. It's stunning what people have been able to achieve with it, and we've got more work to do on that. We'll come to that later on. But even as it stands at the moment, I've been literally blown away. Not literally blown away. That makes no sense. I've been really blown away by the amount of the amount of success people have had and what they've been able to do with it. So, tip of the iceberg. Lots of third party content. Exciting times.
You said it yourself in a chat. The future is indeed bright. I've just seen a question. Hi, what's the roadmap about? You joined at the right time. It's essentially everything that's coming up in the future and what we're working on now from both us at Dovetail and our third-party developers, as well as just general announcements and updates. And we haven't even got into it yet, so we're about to start. And we're going to kick us off with Blackpool Branches. This is our next route coming to Train Sim World. It's officially Blackpool Branches from Blackpool to Preston and Ormskirk. It's releasing on November 14th in a week today. And we have some screenshots to show you. So let me get those up. That's that's a sneak peek of something coming up from our ambassador. That isn't Blackpool itself, but here we go. So these are just going to carousel over, and yeah, we've got an interview with the Just Trains team. So obviously this route was developed by the Just Trains development team, and they are fantastic. And they've also worked closely with us to implement some of the suspension improvements on the paces. So Matt, while these images are scrolling through, do you want to tell us a little bit more as your kind of the development insight for the new route?
I mean, I've been watching this route as and watching the Just Trains team as they've been spending quite a long time now working on this release, and the momentum has been picking up and getting faster and faster as the team have got more and more familiar with the tools and where they want to get everything to, and getting things to a process, testing things over and over again on Xbox and so forth, so that they can get a good picture of that they're not over stretching things, and making sure they can hit a good visual bar while also keeping frame rate and memory usage good. So it's been a really interesting process, and the team have really gone the extra mile with some really exciting stuff and some great ideas. The gameplay is really good fun, and the included stock is really interesting as well. So it's the level of detail they've achieved on the route is just superb. I mean, this really is kind of like a love song to the BR9, the blue 1980s era. So I'm really looking forward to sort of seeing the community feedback on that, because we keep seeing lots of people saying, "Hey, we want more 1980s content." Well, here's some absolutely amazing 1980s content. So, see what you think about it. Let us and JT have your feedback on that. But no, it's really good fun. And yes, yeah, really good, really really good. And there's a pacer in the game now. I'm done. I'm happy.
Yeah, I mean, the Discord community. I think one of the first things that happened when I joined it was I got spammed with pacer emotes from our unofficial Discord channels. But one thing that was shown quickly before, and I'll touch on this now, is that the thing that I think I like most when seeing about this route is seeing people's nostalgic connection to it. And actually, our ambassador Tintin has decided to share with us a couple images of himself. Around Blackpool when he used to drive this type of train when he actually worked on it. So I thought I'd show that. He tagged me in the Discord channel just earlier today. And look how I mean, he looks absolutely stunning in that photo. But there you go. I thought the nostalgia hit is absolutely fantastic. And before we move on, there is also a first look video I want to showcase. So I'm gonna put that on. It's really too loud, so apologies if you were wearing a headphone there. And we'll just let this play. This is only about a minute long, but it does give a little bit of a summary of mostly showcasing the pacer, but this was the first look we put out earlier today. And I think our marketing manager Joe made a comment to say that shot where we went down the cab there is exactly how it feels to be on a completely passenger-packed pacer.
Not a single one of us.
The next stop is Blackpool.
There you go. So let's go back to the camera scene. Hello everyone. So we've just shown a little bit and spoken a little bit about the Blackpool Branches route. So that is the next route coming to Train Sim World. It'll be coming out, releasing in a week from today. And actually our preview stream event page on YouTube at least is live now. So if you want to go over to that on our YouTube channel, you can set a notification for it. That will be happening on the 9th, so in a couple of days. Almost mixing my dates up there, but yes, and we're hoping to showcase some footage from our other ambassadors on the 13th prior to release as well. So you'll be able to see the route in as many different ways and places as you want. So that will be lovely. Right, anything else to add in terms of Blackpool Branches, or are we ready to move on?
Yeah, look, I don't think so. I was just someone saying that it reused sounds. No, no, no. These are new sounds. There's in fact there's 3 types of baser with each unique types of sounds on them. It's an amazing pack.
You
So
couldn't ask for more sounds.
it's amazing. They've gone the extra mile on this.
Fantastic. So we're going to be moving over to a little bit more mountainous area with the newly announced Bernina line. So I'm going to butcher the pronunciation here, but the Ospizzo Bernina to Toronto by Rivet Games. Don't hate me for that. So this is a new route announcement that was just released today, and we've got some initial screenshots to show you. So let me get the image slideshow rolling. I believe there's only 5 images that we've put on our roadmap. And yes, Matt, what are your thoughts on this route? I mean, the mountains look absolutely fantastic with the LiDAR data in them.
Yeah, I mean, this was when Rivet said they wanted to make this route, and then we shared with them some of the early shots of Vorarlberg at the time, and their eyes lit up. Yeah, it was there may be some synergy here. So we've shown them how to get the best out of lidar technology, and set all of that up for them. So this route is just mind-blowingly good with the way that the distant terrain works, and it's such a good route as an example for that lidar tech and the new terrain tech that was introduced in Vorarlberg. It just yeah, the route is amazing. And for me, one of the things that I really like is that this route is the leg of the route which includes that gorgeous viaduct, which is so iconic. For the Bernina line, if you Google Bernina Express, most of the photographs you'll see are of that spiral viaduct. Yeah, it's such a treat to see. I mean, these screenshots are good, but I've been looking at the beta testers have had this route for a little while now, and they've all been enjoying it. And some of the screenshots I'm seeing coming out of photo mode and the like have just been breathtaking. To be honest, this is a different route. This is.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely fantastic. I remember being on a call with Jamie when he was showing me for the first time, and he was absolutely loving it. He was showing me the like you said, with the viaduct, with the complete almost back turn on yourself, the 360 spin. Absolutely fantastic. And I mean, I think it speaks for itself. I mean, the Alps and the mountain scenery. I'm going to love what comes out of photo mode when we see this. And just to answer everyone in the chat, we didn't touch on the Blackpool Branches pricing, but that will be our kind of standard route price. So £29.99 pounds, €35.99, and $39.99 US dollars. Apologies for missing that. I put it in the chat as well. So yeah, the standard price for a route. In terms of Bernina, obviously we don't have any information on to share on pricing or when it will release, but expect more from us soon. In terms of key features, now we've got the logo is the Allegra EMU, the RHB ABE 812 Allegra, in the RHB red livery. You've also got the RHB ZA tank wagon, the RHB SPW timber wagon, and a couple coaches, the EW1A and B coaches, and the G-Pack wagon in the RHB red livery. So if you want a little bit more info on the route, it's 38 kilometers long from Ospizzo Bernina in Switzerland to Toronto in Italy, and it has the world's steepest gradient at 7%. Now, when I heard that for the first time, 7%, I mean, I don't think I've even personally seen much more than 3 point something percent when I was about to crash the train on a stream with you, Matt. But that's about double that percentage. So absolutely fantastic.
I think Albula goes up to about 6, if I remember rightly. So this is super steep. And the Allegra actually makes it quite an interesting run. And we were looking over Google Earth earlier on, Alex and I, looking at something, and there's just it's just such a superbly interesting part of the route with steep gradients, sharp curves. You're horseshoeing your way up the side of a mountain at one point. It's phenomenal.
It's absolutely fantastic, and you can expect more information on us about
There's a rose I was thinking of. Thank you, Raw DC.
You can expect more information on the Bernina line coming from us soon. And I've seen a couple of questions of how far or how long is the Blackpool route. I actually don't have that information on me. I wonder if it's in our article. Search by kilometers. I don't see anything, but apologies. I'll have to answer you that. If you want to put it on the forums, I can find you and I can give you that information. But for tonight, we're going to be moving on to Maintalbahn. Now I'm going to pronounce this right. Erschaffenberg. in Germany to Miltenberg. So that is our next route. I do have a carousel of images. We love the image carousels. And for anyone checking in with us now, we've already announced this route and it is coming soon. We don't have a release date yet, but it is a modern day diesel adventure across the portside town of Aschaffenburg in Germany. And in our last roadmap update, we talked a little bit about this. We also showed that there is like very authentic audio. I believe our one of our senior tech developers, Lucas, has actually been on the 642 with the audio kind of recording fluffy mic. I think that's what JD decided to go with. So it definitely looks fantastic. And Matt, is there any more you want to add in terms of this?
I mean, well, ever since we did Maintalbahn, which is obviously the western end of that at Aschaffenburg, and then later on, as part of the BR204, came down and sort of finished off the docks, kind of always wanted to carry on going south from Aschaffenburg because it looked like an interesting branch. Well, that's this. So this is Aschaffenburg via the docks going south. And the fact that it enables us to bring this modern German DMU in as well, the 642, adds a lot of flavour and variety to the available trains as well. It's not just another tedious EMU. This one's going to be a bit different, sound a bit different, drive a bit different. So it's good fun to drive. And branch line operations, Glossop was really popular. It's a different style of driving. It's one of the things we get asked from people is not the same kind of route over and over again, please. And this isn't that. This is something quite different. This is very out in the boonies, branch line operations, and that combined with the 363 doing diesel shunting gives you some nice variety. It's an interesting run, and the train is quite fun to drive too.
And thank you for that, Matt. I did see that the mods beat me to the punch, and they said that the Blackpool route 48 miles in length. So if you were wondering and you were disappointed that I couldn't give you the answer, I've been saved by the mods. 48 miles. And in terms of kilometers, I'm going to guess around 70, but I would do the maths. In terms of Maintalbahn, while we're on it though, I did have a mastery tile video. So the mastery tile is essentially that you can launch a ship from the dock and it kind of falls into the river.
Incredible.
Yep, I can't show the video though
No!
because I spotted a leak. Yes, JD would have played it. I know he would have, and classic JD would have leaked. But here I am saving the day, so I'm gonna have to disappoint everyone and not leak something. But there is a really amazing mastery, and again, if you go to our roadmap, Lucas has actually seen it happen in real life, and Lucas has been working closely on the Maintalbahn route, and he describes the ship kind of launching in. And I've seen a video; it looks fantastic, and we'll see if we can try and get a non-leaky version posted up to our YouTube and shared on our community spaces.
I've seen the animation, and it's something a bit different from what's been done in the past. So I'm really happy with that.
Yeah, and in terms of other information, it's coming soon. We don't have a release date yet, but keep an eye out because we're going to be sharing news very soon. And for pricing information, it will be at £24.99 British pounds and then $29.99 dollars and euros. So that's the pricing information. We'll let you know when the release dates and kind of pre-orders open up. So just kind of keep an eye out, and we'll have a preview stream, of course, to go with it. And that's it for Maintalbahn, I think. Yep.
So Wiley's just done a couple of people saying, is Maintalbahn the end? Is that the end? So it's Miltenberg is the other end, Wiley, of this route, and it is the end of one of the S-Bahn services. So the one of the S-Bahn I can't remember which one it is Aschaffenburg, Miltenberg, and up and down and so forth. So in that sense, it's complete. It's not a terminus station though. The line carries on to Württemberg and further on, and there are other trains. So some of the trains you run won't terminate at Miltenberg. They'll carry on to other places, but some of the trains do terminate at Miltenberg. So it is end to end for some services, continues through for other services, like many railways, to be honest.
Yeah. And Simon, will it be before the end of this year? I'm not a betting man myself, but if I would, I probably would bet that it would be before the end of the year. That's all you'll get from me, no more leaks.
Spoilers.
Right. So, Rivet gameplay packs. Now, we're going to be talking a little bit more about these. I've got the famous image carousels. So let's talk about the two Rivet Games gameplay packs that are coming out. The first, which you're seeing on screen, is from Arosa Aggregates, which is for the Arosa line routes. I believe it's called RHB Arosa Aggregates, that's the title. And what you're seeing kind of on the carousel here is the RHB FAC aggregate wagon, as well as the RHB GE44 electric loco, and you're seeing that in 2 liveries. You're seeing that in the Haoke Tozen Railway, sorry for the pronunciation, and the Neubau Albu Tunnel livery as well. So again,
It's just getting better, Alex. Keep going.
no, I just have to apologize, but I can hide because this my camera's not on, so I don't have to be embarrassed with the red face. But yeah, there are images going through, and these packs will include new scenarios for the 2 routes that they'll be on. So again, Arosa Aggregates is the first one for Arosa line, and then we have another one called Engineering Express for the ScotRail Express route from Edinburgh to Glasgow. So again, both will contain new scenarios, both will contain a new timetable for each, and then we've got new liveries for various things on them. So this is the Arosa Aggregates one. If I hide this, we can also show one of the 2 Class 66 liveries. This is the ONE, the Ocean Network Express Magenta livery.
This is the only that counts, let's be honest. It's the right colour.
I mean, that's true, actually. We've got Mr. Matt Pedalston on stream. If you didn't already know, his favourite colour is the most neon pink imaginable. But there we go, that's the livery. And I did think this one was really strikingly... It just stands out. I mean, obviously it's neon pink. It's not really a natural colour, but it does look really fantastic.
It is superb livery. It's been really good. One have been a great partner to work with since we started. So it's been good to finally find a way to get that one in there. Working with Rivet, who've obviously made the livery in the game. But yeah, so I'm super stoked to see the one license in there.
Yep, and it does come with another livery, which we don't have a screenshot for, unfortunately, but that is in the DRS Direct Rail Services Blue. So I'm assuming it would be bluish. And then you can also obviously pick up the YGB CCAL wagon. That is not a new wagon, but it does come with a couple liveries, a blue livery and an unpainted grey livery. So yeah, those are 2 gameplay packs. Again, these are gameplay packs that come with additional scenarios. I believe it's 5 scenarios each, and then a new timetable, as well as those wagons and locos that we showcased. They'll be releasing individually on November 21st. So that's, I believe, 2 weeks from today. Yes, because we're working in multiples of 7. And they'll be each priced at $9.99 Great British Pounds, €11.99 euros, and then $14.99. You do get a 5% PS discount if you're in Great British Pounds as well for PlayStation users. So that's all the information on the Rivet gameplay packs, which look really interesting. And while we're talking about packs and gameplay packs, we do have another pack, but it's not from anyone we've heard of before. And why is that? It's because we've got a new partner studio that we've announced in our roadmap article, and let's talk about them today. It's SimTrack Studios. So again, as Matt was kind of alluding to earlier, the PC editor is really kind of beginning to bring in these additional third parties and helping third parties learn how to make content for Train Sim World and really kind of get intertwined with us at Dovetail. And it's fantastic to see, but we do have a great interview with the SimTrack team. I'm not going to read it all tonight, but there's a good bit of our interview on our roadmap. And essentially they talk about the Regional Railways Class 323 pack, that's the Rivet pack, which is this one. We only have one image, so it's not going to carousel around. That's the that's the image we've got for you today. But again, this will come with additional scenarios, and really, it's fascinating to bring more people into the Train Sim World ecosystem, and especially SimTrack are notable members within TSW's beta teams and the community. I don't quite know yet if they want to reveal themselves, so I'll leave them in the space of anonymity. So yeah, that's a little tease for the Regional Railways Livery Class 323 pack that they're working on. And they have teased a little bit of something else they've got coming up. So they are on our roadmap for future bits of content, and they've just said a splash of BR green. So take that as you will. But I've just flicked the starting soon screen. Don't worry, it's not starting over again. But keep your eyes on bigger future content from their team as well. Matt, anything to add in terms of working with SimTrack?
SimTrack are a great group. They've had so many really great ideas, and it's been a really interesting process seeing them start with wanting to build the Earth to scaling that back and scaling it back to projects which they can deliver and achieve. And then they've got some really growing and escalating ideas for the things that they want to do. There's some really cool ideas. They're a really good team. There's quite a few of them on the team actually, with different skill sets, and they're all learning their tools and getting through the process. So the 323 was a fun starter project for them, so that they could create some gameplay. Do something which they have. Someone said, "What route is this for?" It's for the cross city line, and they wanted to do some extra gameplay for the cross city line as one of their favourite routes, and this was a way that they could do that. So that's why they put this pack together, and it's something that has given them a lot of experience as well. But then they've got, as you've just hinted to there, they've got some cool ideas, and these things just grow and grow and grow in terms of what they want to do. So keep a very close eye on SimTrack. They're a really exciting team to be keeping a watch out for.
Couldn't say it better myself, really. But obviously, yeah, like we said again, the kind of purpose of the editor really is to help bring in more devs, help support our third-party devs as well, and really this is the start of hopefully a really promising future and the start of a new journey. Now we're gonna move off of the upcoming content, the newly announced content. We're going to be talking a little bit about some of our recent patches. And there's quite a bit to talk about here. So we're going to start, and I'm going to start talking about October 31st, Halloween. A very scary day indeed for certain people. We put a patch out on October 21st, which fixed a lot of things, and it had a good amount of changes in it. But it also broke other things, and it had adverse side effects, especially towards PlayStation players. If you're on PS5 or some users on PS4, you were crashing on certain UK routes. And for PC users, you were unable to access some of the mods that were previously working in TSW4, unofficial mods, but now they suddenly weren't working. That isn't how we wanted that update to go. That certainly wasn't planned. And for that, really, all we can do is kind of put our hands up and say sorry, and we want to apologize for those who were affected. Obviously, if you were a PlayStation player, that is very frustrating. Being unable to access the content that you paid for, that you want to play, that you're excited to play, is difficult. And realistically, while we did manage to get to a solution quite quickly, it shouldn't be expected from a patch to completely break certain things. And so we're going to spend time to work on a resolution. We're going to understand what went wrong and really kind of help prevent this happening in the future. Now, I know these are words, and really we don't want to be ineffectively using our time, and we'd rather focus our time on actually bringing improvements that help make the game better in other ways, rather than just fix the things that we've broken and constantly patching things up. So yeah, for this, all we can say is we're sorry, but realistically, the proof will be in the pudding. We're going to start putting some actions in place that help prevent this in future. And so just keep us on it. Bear with us. Thank you for being patient. And again, we want to apologize for those who are affected. We'll help stop this happening again in the future. As for Xbox crashes and entitlements, thankfully this is mostly a thing in the past. We did have a resolution for users on Xbox who were crashing when they were starting up their game. We have heard some of you still saying that there's occasional issues with long loading times and other crashes. We're making note, we do hear it, and we're trying to work on those at the moment. So please let us know if you're affected, if you've got an Xbox system and you're still crashing just on starting up the game. Please let us know on the forums, and we'll be able to support you. We do have a support site where you can submit tickets to as well. Onto entitlements, we do have a few outstanding Epic Game Store entitlements we want to resolve. We've mostly resolved a lot of the entitlement issues that we saw when we launched, but there are still some, notably the Class 700, Great Western Express, and a BR204. We're working on these, and in fact, we're raising these to, they've been our highest priority since launch, but we're actively pushing this still. So bear with us, and thank you for your patience. It's something that we're still trying to work on with Epic Games to understand, and we'll hopefully have a resolution fully to solve entitlement issues completely. So that's it with the recent patch. Obviously, that going out on Halloween is a little scary. It wasn't intended as a Halloween trick or treat, but it kind of ended up as one. In terms of future patches, so we've got some interesting things coming up. We know New York-Trenton passengers have not been appearing. That should hopefully be resolved in a future patch. No release date yet, we'll let you know. Other things that we're looking to fix is Antelope Valley LA Union passenger lighting issues. The OBB24 indicator light visibility, some of you were saying that in the day it's very hard to see the actual indicator lights. We've got an improvement for that. The East Coast Mainline overhead lighting improvements. We've also got one for the BR182 CIFA warning light and the CIFA warning audio. It's something that I've been trying to chase up on the forums, and I know a lot of you have said that it's really difficult to hear and you even see the light going off, so we've got an improvement for that coming soon. As well as photo mode improvement. We know that sometimes when you're changing the depth of field, you're unable to kind of do anything in photo mode, and obviously that shouldn't be happening. So we've got some improvements. Those are some of the headliners. We'll let you know when these are coming out. But we did want to let you know just kind of what to expect. But in terms of what's coming up in the future, those are some of the improvements we want to fix, but we do have some really exciting things coming up in the future too. And we're calling one of our larger updates the Winter Core Update. And that's because we're going to be improving some of the core systems within the game as well and bring some new features to you. So the timeline of this, we're not ready to commit to that, but we'll share more between now and our next roadmap at the start of December, and you'll likely know a timeline between those two dates. And we're going to be focusing in on some kind of key hitters. 1, Formation Designer. It'll be coming and it'll be great. 2, suspension improvements, and we'll talk more about that shortly. And 3, the mini HUD updates and improvements based on your community feedback. So let's talk about them. I'm going to start with Formation Designer, and we're going to show some old images here, but they are useful to show. So what you're looking at on screen is the Formation Designer UI. We have shown these in a previous roadmap stream, but just to show you again here, work is continuing, work is going well. It's bundled into this Winter Core update. And this is this is the latest of what we've got of what it looks like. Obviously, very work in progress, and we'll let you know more in terms of how this is looking when we're closer to the time. But is there anything else you want to add on Formation Designer, Matt?
It's coming along nicely. I think one of the biggest remaining tasks is expanding the compatibility of the Formation Designer now across the entire library. A lot of the functionality is in and working now. We had a recent build review, and it's looking strong. So there's some more stuff to tidy up, some more bugs to fix, and then the major chunk of the work now really is it's not really useful unless it's across the entire library. So that's kind of one of the major things that still need to be dealt with on that front.
Yep.
But otherwise than that, Formation Designer is coming along, looking strong, and it's really cool. One of the first things I did when I got hold of the latest build was make a quick formation, put it in Scenario Designer, and use it. And it was just like, oh, okay, this is cool. This is opening some possibilities. As at the moment, it doesn't work in free roam, but it will. That was just hadn't been done yet. So, but even that, just being it's suddenly Scenario Designer is sort of taking on and benefiting from that as well, which means you can do more things with that.
Fantastic. And I mean, it's one of the core kind of systems within the game that we really want to get out to all of you. We just want to make sure that it's in a suitable, usable state rather than kind of giving you this new toy that doesn't really work. So we'll let you know. Just to answer a question in the chat as I saw it, the New York-Trenton improvements, we've got a range of improvements that we do want to ship. So when I was talking about New York-Trenton previously, I would just mention the passengers not improving. We'll talk a little bit about that more just shortly after we go through the Winter Core update bits. Next up on the list is suspension. So we talked about Blackpool Preston being the next release to Trains in World. It's coming out in a week, if you didn't know. But it's actually the first chance for us to showcase the new suspension. You're going to be bouncing around on the paces like wildly. Matt, please tell us more.
So the Pacer's nickname is the Nodding Donkey, and when we were looking at what we could do, why was the next step for the suspension, other than just the knuckling down and carrying on with getting the stuff done. When Blackpool was coming up and had the Pacer, so the question was posed to the team: what can we do to make sure the Pacer benefits from the suspension? Because it would be a crime to not put some cool suspension on that Pacer. Working with the team, Vesa fortunately is kind of the simplest use case for the system because it doesn't have bogies. It doesn't have. It's just two axles. It's just spring suspension, no air suspension. So it's kind of the simplest, and hence why it's the least comfortable train on the planet in reality. So it's so actually that meant that we could really allow that. So this is we've worked with Just Trains to help them get the suspension system in, and we've been back and forth making some fixes and improvements, and they've done some tuning as well, and we've learned some stuff based on what they found as well, and that enabled us to make this the first real fully finished use case of the suspension. The 323 you've had before was kind of an early test, so I don't consider that as the first. The pacer is the first. Beyond that, the team are continuing to work now. We have on the back of the sort of the successes with the pacer, we've now got 2 or 3 German wagons. None of these wagons won't be coming out just yet. They'll come out as part of a wider update later on. But we've got a couple of wagons now with the suspension system implemented. So it's starting to propagate around some of the stock. And we are continuing with the back-end engineering first just to fix up the last issues with supporting bogies, 2-axle and 3-axle bogies, and then we can start implementing those across some of the stock that's got that. And then we're going to be again, while that's happening, they're going to look at the air suspension side of it so that we can get an implementation of that in, and then that completes the feature set and so forth. So it shouldn't be a huge amount of time longer. Not going to give any kind of a date on it, obviously, at the moment, because just there's too many unknowns at the moment. But it is making some pretty exciting progress. In fact, just in the last few days, actually seeing the last couple of wagons that were done, actually starting to see stuff appear in the game now in our dev build, so that we can see stuff. So it's heading along more rapidly in the right direction now. So I'm hopefully we'll keep updating you as with this one as it goes. But yeah, enjoy the 142 or don't.
And just on that, so we got someone in the chat saying, so wait, so suspension is in the game currently. So currently there is the class 323 in a training center which has a very initial form of the suspension improvements. The pacer coming in the Blackpool route next week will have the first real kind of pass of these suspension changes. So it's not currently in the game. The first version of it will come with Blackpool, and then the rest of the improvements that we're looking to do will come with the Winter Core update, which doesn't have a release date, but we're expecting to be able to share with you more in the next month or so.
Yeah, if you have a look at the 323, it's an interesting, the 323 on training center. It's an interesting. The reason we left it in was so that players could really experience how much of a difference it makes to the experience driving the train with it, jumping around on the junctions, and on the joints and so forth. Because having the cab rock up and down as you're going over these things, as well as seeing the visual changes from the outside, it really is quite a substantial change to the experience. And what I will say is that the 323 is an air suspension train, and it does not have air suspension simulation on it at the moment because we don't have that yet. And there are some of the parameters. You'll have seen some videos, no doubt, of it doing crazy things over junctions when people have used it on different routes. It runs pretty well on Training Center, but on some of the other routes I've seen it on, it does crazy things, and that's why this is not finished on the 323. The pace is running solidly, so it's you'll see it go expand as we get more of the stuff implemented. But yeah, if you want to have a quick look at the suspension now, just to get a feel for it, then yeah, the 323 on Training Center, you can do that right now. But if you experience issues, that's because it's not finished.
Yeah, and that's a good caveat, and it looks like a couple people are now jumping in to try it. I did see a question here that I hope you can answer fairly quickly. I would hope, Matt, is that how will it affect performance having the suspension improvements in?
I'll have to check actually with the physics engineer. I'm not expecting any changes to the performance of the trains as such. It really is just the way that it reacts, because it's not just it's reacting to everything that's affecting the wheels, and also to gravity. So, there is some centrifugal impact on the train going around corners at speed, for example, depending on whether you've got super elevation, all sorts of factors. It is just a physics simulation of springs, suspensions, and so forth on the between the axles and the body. Yeah, it's the goal is to get that feel of the motion in the cab, feeling a bit more realistic, and you'll feel the train rocking. It's the train itself reacting to when you're accelerating and decelerating, as well as the sort of the in-head camera that you've got, the head sway that you've already got. The combination is quite interesting. Oh, you
Uh,
meant frame rate? No, no impact on frame rate at all.
And then
Sorry.
we got a question saying when will Maintalbahn release? That doesn't have a release date yet. It will be here. Expect to hear more from us soon. But we haven't got anything to announce today. And Matt, just one last thing before we move on from suspension. How will the rollout of suspension go? So are we starting with the train sim for core locos and then kind of moving outwards?
So we will be rolling it out to Train Sim World for standard edition core trains. And then what we're going to do is evaluate how that's going, and then we'll look at whether or not we can then expand it out to the secondary trains, deluxe trains, and so forth. It will not be we're not looking at the moment to do anything prior to TSW4. I will say is adding the suspension is not a 5-minute job. It's a fairly involved job, updating the physics and tuning and so forth. There's quite a lot of work involved in it, and potentially even art changes to the models and so forth. So it's not something we're looking at doing pre TSW4. And as first pass, it's kind of the F125, the 800, the 801, sorry, and the 4024 are kind of the trains that we are targeting first to get out to players with the full suspension on them, and then we'll evaluate what we do going forwards from that. But the main toolbar will be updated to get the 642 will be updated to get the suspension as well at the fullness of time when we get to that point, but not before, and then nothing before TSW4.
Brilliant. Thank you for the clarity, Matt. I mean, obviously that helps share more information, and obviously stay up to date with us as we talk more about this and the wider winter core changes in the future. And speaking of winter core changes, and I've seen a mention about the HUD, let's talk about the HUD. So we've got some really nice quality of life improvements coming to the mini HUD, and don't panic. There are toggleable features that you can have based on what you want. You can kind of fully customize how you want your mini HUD to appear. So I've got a couple images here. Let's go over. That is the formation slideshow, and that is our. There we go. We've got, so on the top we've got the kind of left side of the HUD where you kind of usually see your barber poles type like kind of like tracker, as well as your objective location. But now you can see on the right hand side that you can add your current speed limit, as well as your gradient as little blocks onto that. And below we've got the tracker, the kind of track monitor bar. And from Lucas, he's mentioned that you now have platform indicators. Those will be the blue bars on that track, as well as speed. The bar itself will actually change its distance based on the speed you're traveling. So as you can see there on the top one, it says 3.3 kilometer distance. On the bottom one, it says 1.5. So from Lucas's own words, if you're traveling at 0 to 80 kilometers an hour, you'll be at the default level of 1.5 kilometers distance ahead. And as you increase your speed, that will go from 1.5 kilometer distance all the way up to 6 kilometer distance. So that should be a really good quality of life change, and we've heard the feedback, and a lot of these changes are coming directly from community feedback. So obviously thank you for sending them in, and don't panic though, because we know that some people like the changes, some people like certain other ways of having a mini HUD, some people don't want all the information. That's why these features are toggleable. You can go through to the HUD settings in the menu, and you can change kind of what you want on and what you don't want on, and you can customize the experience your own way. Matt, is there any more you kind of want to talk about in terms of mini HUD?
I mean, every change is based on player feedback. It's not some of it. Every change there has been based on player feedback. I've been in the forums talking to people, finding out what they liked, what they didn't like, what they wanted to change, what they didn't want to change, what flexibility they wanted. Now, we've not have gone to, dialed it up to 11 with the, to make your own HUD that some people have requested, because we can't really do that at the moment. But it's kind of like there were some really, really simple things that people were asking for, like, well, can I have a toggle option to show my current speed? And putting the accelerometer on there as well, and getting the distance to the objective. It's just like, okay, that we can fit some of that stuff on there without breaking the point of the thing. But if you want to change the to leave it where it is, you can. Some people have said, I want to have the distance. I don't want the distance numerically. I like the idea of the barber pole, but 2 kilometers is just not enough. My train's going so fast. I need two. Sorry, 1 kilometer is not enough. I need 2 or even 4, depending on how fast I'm going. So there's a setting now which means that you can change the distance the barber pole is leading you on with. So if you want to get rid of the numbers and actually experience the benefit of that immersion you get by not watching numbers count down to zero, which is kind of one of the main purposes of the mini HUD, you can still tick to the barber pole, but you get the benefit of making it seek further ahead, which is just a setting option you can pick. And then on the track monitor, when Lucas first talked about this idea of having the track monitor look further ahead, I mean, it demonstrated actually that it was quite important because again, the faster you go, you might not be seeing things that you need to see. Actually, you're not getting the visibility that you would get with the old-fashioned thing that we had in the telling you where the next signal was. Honestly, I wasn't sure how that was going to pan out, and then he showed me a demo of it working, and you know what? It works. It's really clever. And yeah, as you get to certain speed, and you start seeing, because you can always see how far it is, where it says 3.5 kilometers. Do you want to bring the screenshots up again? Sorry.
Yes, sorry.
If you look at the bottom one there, it says distance 1.5 kilometers. That means at that moment in time, it is a 1.5 kilometer wide. The one above it is a 3.3 kilometer wide. So halfway along, it'd be 1.6 kilometers. Where that green signal is roughly, so you can still fairly readily predict, but now you can see further ahead the faster you're going, and more precision when you're going slower. It's actually a really neat system. So let's get feedback on the update, and really keen to hear what everyone thinks about it, and we can take it from there. If we need to do some more quality of life improvements based on feedback, we can maybe take a look at that. But I think this addresses 99% of the feedback that I've been reading, and yeah, I think there's some really positive changes here. I'm looking forward to you see it.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I've got a question here. What does the blue section on the track represent? So I was told by Lucas that
Platforms.
represents the platform itself. Yeah.
It's the platform marker on the track. Yes.
Yeah, and as you can see, you can kind of you can kind of see the difference visually between the 3.3 kilometer distance and the 1.5 kilometer distance because the platform is much bigger on the bottom. Obviously, that's dependent on the platform, but when you've got a longer track monitor distance, it's going to appear shorter.
Yeah.
So there you go. Those are the HUD improvements. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm looking at the chat. There are a lot of feedback regarding the HUD, especially in terms of accessibility, in terms of the text size as well. We're looking into it. I remember submitting that ticket myself, so it's in the system, and we're looking at other ways in which we can help improve these systems, the accessibility of them, the customizability of them, with your feedback. So if you've got feedback, send it in. Check out our forums page. It's I actually don't know what the link is to this. It's just live.dovetail.games and then the forums. So yeah, head over to our forums. Share your feedback. We want to hear it and we want to implement it if it will help fix issues and help you with looking at the HUD. So that's all for the HUD update, and again, that's bundled in with the winter core update we have coming soon. We'll let you know between now and next roadmap, and that will mostly focus on formation designer, suspension improvements, and that mini HUD improvement set of features. So that should be really good. Another thing to look forward to. Now we're going to talk about some other progress we've made on different improvements.
Alex, before we move on, Mod Pete asked a good question actually. Is there a fixed plan to stop the HUD changing every time we load the game? Yes, that's coming as well.
Yep. I did have that down on my document all the way at the bottom, but why would we talk about it then? Yeah, no, that makes sense. That is definitely a frustrating one. I know a lot of people on console have also talked about how it's always changing. You want to change your settings and have them stay the same. So yes, it's good to hear there's an improvement coming for that. Thank you, Matt. Right, let's talk about a new updated Köln-Aachen. How am I saying this, Matt? Aachen? Is it Aacagn? Aachen. Köln-Aachen, right? That's it. That's the end of butchering the pronunciation. So we got the updated Köln-Aachen timetable. Let's show some images for these. There we go. So we've got a set of 5 images coming through the carousel. Now Joe, one of our developers, has been working really closely on this. All I can say right now is there's no release window. There's still dev work and testing to still be done for this updated timetable. But if we jump over to the roadmap, I know that Joe has done a lot of work in helping make the Köln station feel a lot busier and really just help improve the kind of life of the timetable as well. One of the images here is the busiest scene at the timetable at Köln-Aachen with the ICE in the center point. Actually, let's see if I can skip back forward to that image. There it is. And yeah, it's the purpose of the timetable is to significantly increase the traffic levels and a variety around some of the major stations on the route itself. As well as bring more freight services, new freight services into it as well. So there's a lot of representation here. Matt, do you want to tell us any more?
I mean, the key thing here is the testing process. I don't think Joe is actually finished yet. I think he's looking to add some more services on the western end of the route to fill that out some more. Yes, more services. It's just there's always more to add with these things. So I think he's wanting to do a bit more on that, and then he's got. And then we're going to have to go through a fairly extensive testing process. Someone here has said doesn't look Gen 8 friendly. I think you're probably right. Um, I don't actually know where this stands, but I would not be surprised if this is a Gen 9 only timetable. I am not sure if what you get from the benefit of this on a Gen 8, because by the time it had been trimmed down to run on Gen 8, it probably like the old one, to be blunt. But we'll find out as we go forward, and if there's a point in making it run on Gen 8, the benefit to it, then so be it. But I would, in all honesty, at these kinds of levels of traffic, expect this to be a Gen 9 only platform.
Yeah, and you'll hear more news kind of once we're on the other side of the remaining dev work and testing. Like we've previously done with some of our other timetables, we've made the kind of light and then the full fat version of these timetables. So yeah, we'll see whether or not we do end up putting this on Gen 8. But for right now, this is the kind of progress update. If you want to read a little bit more, Joe has left some kind of like comments in an interview style on our full roadmap article. We won't read them all here. But we have shown the fantastic screenshots. So thank you, Joe. And like we say, progress continues well. There's no release window yet. But that's kind of all on the updated Köln-Aachen timetable. Next up, let's talk about Midland Mainline. So we've got some improvements that have been sent to us from Skyhook Games. Now, there is a long list of improvements, but to just kind of generalize in summary, we've got route scenery improvements. We've got the snow build-up feature coming in from Train Sim World 3's core feature set. We've got improvements to station and route signage, various station lighting improvements. I know notably this was at Leicester and Nottingham stations. You've got HST adjustments and fixes, and one of these included an adjustment to the driver seat position as well. And then we've also got a couple of things that would only be available in Train Sim World 4, and that is updated to the Train Sim World 4 scoring and platinum medal system, and then as well as the Scenario Planner AI portal functionality that comes with Train Sim World 4. And the reason why I caveat those last two fixes with Train Sim World 4 is because these improvements are coming to both Train Sim World 3 and Train Sim World 4. So let's manage some expectations. There's no release window yet, and testing still needs to be done. But these will both be released on Train Sim World 3 and Train Sim World 4, and we'll have more news for you soon. We'll have a full list of improvements going up when we're ready to share them. But as of right now, we still need to test this. We still need to make sure it works the way we want it to. And yeah, I mean, in terms of Train Sim World 3, we'll talk about how those fixes are coming soon. Actually, in fact, just after this. But is there anything you want to add when it comes to Midland Mainline bits, Matt?
I mean, it's great to see the team doing some more work on it. It's a fantastic route. For those of you that haven't had a chance to take a look at it, take a look at it once the new updates come out. And yeah, I think you'll be pleased. So yeah, so it's a fun route.
Brilliant. And just before we talk about Train Sim World 3 fixes, let's talk about the other part of that in some regard, and that's New York-Trenton. So since the Halloween update, we did implement some improvements that were meant to help improve performance for players on the route, and we've seen some really positive feedback so far. If you are a PC player, this is mostly in terms of PC players. So if you are on PC, we've seen on the forums that some people are saying they're seeing massively less stutterers and much better performance just generally across the route. So if you have got it on PC, please give it another go. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know how it's running on your systems, and we'll continue to gather your feedback in terms of just general improvements coming to New York-Trenton. But what we do know is that from what we're seeing, we've implemented a fix that has really helped the performance. So again, if you are a player that played it originally, you struggled with the performance side of things, go back to it, give it another shot, and see if it's helped. But make sure you've obviously updated the game since October 31st. Now, let's talk about Train Sim World 3 fixes. So, the reason why I talked about Midland Mainline and Trenton first is because that's kind of the same picture we're talking about when it comes to just Train Sim World 3. We're going to be planning a series of updates. Essentially, instead of trying to get everything for Train Sim World 3 out in one big mega update, that has its own risks. Essentially, if we release a patch note of 100 things, for example, how do we know where certain things go wrong? How do we test that? And it's less manageable. So we're going to be rolling up a series of updates, the first of which is going through testing this week. So you can expect hopefully the first improvement to Train Sim World 3 soon, very soon, as we're testing it this week. Again, no release date. We don't want to commit to anything just yet, but we are working on it. Now, the later batches of these improvements will include the previously mentioned Midland mainline improvements, and then finally, we're going to be then including Trenton improvements as well. The reason why we put Trenton kind of at the end of that list is so that we can get core improvements in first. But we just want to let you know that there is a planned series of improvements. We're not going to commit to a number because we don't know if we want to break one of these up into two just yet. But we have a plan. The first bit of that plan is going through testing now, and we'll keep you updated. So stay on it. But we'll let you know on our forums. We'll let you know on our community space and just general announcements. So that's it in terms of Train Sim World 3 fixes. Again, Matt, I'm going to pass to you. Anything I've missed?
Nope, no, all good. Team are working hard on getting that out. I think splitting it up is the best approach to getting things out, so that get something out and then keep doing that process. So no, all good.
Brilliant.
Let's just get it out.
Yeah. And I saw someone in the chat just say, fix the livery editor for the HST. That's one of the improvements. That's one of the ones I forgot to mention. It is on the core list when I said HST adjustments and fixes. One of them is for livery designer compatibility. So, and to make it work with livery designers. So yeah, that's on the list. Again, we'll share those Midland mainline fixes. We'll share the full list when we have confirmation of when it's coming out and when we're ready to go live with that. But expect good things. So, community corner time. So if you don't know, on our roadmap we do like to celebrate the community. We like to showcase the things you've been doing in Train Sim World, and what better to do that when it comes to Train Sim World 4 with some of the new fantastic tools. The big one being photo mode. I just love it. Photo mode is amazing. You've got some incredible community shared screenshots, and then we're going to be talking about the editor a bit, but I want to showcase some photo mode images. So to start, are we showing the right thing? Yes, we are. Right, so we got a little carousel here and we got a lovely little border on them. Now, these are in no particular order, and because they're in a random order, I'll just say thank you to Lee 150 Special, Captain Gunnerdeep, RLB, Big Cat 4, Sean Crabtree 2003, Trainiac, and finally, thank you to If I Can Dream. These are users on our community forums who have submitted these in our photo mode showcase thread. Just look at that lightning bolt. Me and Jamie were trying to capture a lightning bolt when we were filming the Halloween stream. We just couldn't. We missed it every time, even with trying to pause the game. So just absolutely amazing photos. Photo mode is brilliant. We want to see the best photos that you've got. So please, if you use our forums or if you use our social spaces, send them in. Tag us if you need to. I know Katie on our social media, she loves sharing and retweeting any photos that you send in. But really, these are just amazing. I love seeing the composition, the colors. I mean, you can see for yourself, just absolutely fantastic photos. And we thought, let's dedicate an area of our roadmap to really showcasing the best of the community photos. I think we got one more maybe in a cycle, unless, no, there we go. We've kind of gone back around. So yeah, again, thank you to all of you who submit photos, and please, again, keep sending them in. In terms of the editor, we've got some amazing guides, tutorials, and resources all on our latest roadmap. So again, the November roadmap, we've had some really fantastic stuff in from the community. We've seen really cool new logos being built, new routes being built. I think one of the things that really impressed at least me the most was seeing that our community are kind of banding together to build documentation, to build like tutorials for each other. Now, in terms of documentation from our side, we're still kind of going to be working on the masterclass series. We're going to still pull devs in for little streams and help showcase guides and tutorials on how we do stuff. In terms of video documentation and blogs, that would be. We're not going to be releasing any official written documentation because mostly at the moment the editor it's kind of the Unreal Engine version that we're using. It's a lot of the tools you need to learn with it kind of just come with knowledge of Unreal. The engine itself, and that's quite a complex tool. I think we've said it enough, but this is a very difficult tool to use, and it would take a lot of time for us to bundle documentation, and even then there are better resources out there. There are better guides to learning Unreal, and we've already seen in the first month or so that the community are kind of better at doing this than we are. There's fantastic guides being built, and I want to give a shout out to Matin, Train Sim Play, if you know them. They're one of our ambassadors. They create content for us, but they've made a public community documentation site. If you go over to our roadmap article, that is linked on there, but it's also on the forums. We have a whole forum space dedicated to just the editor. It's really fantastic. Again, it just goes through where all of the documentation bits are. If you want to learn the editor, again, the editor is free on the Epic Games Store, so you can just search Train Sim World 4 editor, or just Train Sim World editor, I believe, and it will come up. But there's just amazing resources out there. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, get involved with the community, and it will really help you learn more about it. Anything to add, Matt?
No, it's other than keep saying no and then adding stuff to it. So, nothing of worth, but I'll carry on talking anyway. But yeah, no, it's really good seeing all of how everyone's engaging with each other. I'm constantly amazed by and surprised by the things that people are achieving with the editor, and yeah, so I'm encouraging the team to help out and make sure we can get these masterclasses to answer questions and try and point people in the right direction.
We've had some good feedback on some of the master classes we've already done, and really when we hear players saying, "Oh, thank you for doing this. Like I now know how to start doing this on my own," and they can kind of fly in their own little, like kind of a bird leaving the nest type thing. It's really great to see. And now let's actually touch on some PC editor improvements. Matt, you kind of gave us a little bit of a rundown of it, but there are improvements that we want to do. Obviously, on the roadmap, we originally had the V2 and the V3. We're just going to be calling them editor improvements, and we're going to improve as we go. When we're ready to release the improvements, we'll let you know. But there are some that we're really focusing on right now, and that is the ability to package files for distribution, the landscape material usage, and the ability for the editor to rediscover files when you reload. So Matt, do you want to go into more depth on just those kind of three, just from a developer side, and what that really means?
Yeah, I mean the ability to package files kind of speaks for itself. It's you've made a scenario or a route and you want to share it, and you just want an option to make the package file that is the thing that you will give to your friends or share on websites. So we need to get that done. Landscape material usage at the moment, you can't use our landscape materials. You have to make your own landscape material, which is fine, but it's probably just it's an extra step it's difficult. So we're working out whether or not we can unlock that. It's because it's trying to load cooked resources, and that's what's causing problems there. So it's if can we update and the editor to support that, or do we just package up the source and share the source essentially? So we're working out the right answer to help everyone with that, and then rediscovery of files when reloading the editor. At the moment, you reload the editor and you'll find some of the files appear to be gone. They're still actually there in the file system, and you have to do some tricks to make them reappear in the editor. That just is a bug that needs to be gone. So those are kind of the three first things that we're looking at getting resolved. And as we get updates, we'll put them out, of course. But yeah, those are our first three priorities.
And there you go. I've seen in the chat again. We're reading the chat as we go. Simugraph. So about your Simugraph, yes, that is something that we've developed, and maybe I can set up a masterclass focusing just on using Simugraph, because it looks like something that we've seen struggling with the community.
I already have a volunteer waiting in the wings to come and do that with you, Alex. So.
Well, there you go. Yeah, I mean, like we're planning to release more masterclass episodes. Don't have a date for the next one because really it's basically just booking in time with Dev and just have you got an hour to sit with me on a call and chat to me? You know, that's really all it is. But we'll see if we can get something put together for Simugraph. If it's something that the community want to see, just let us know. And I mean, you have in a chat. But if there's other elements that you want to see us share guides on, documentation on, or streams on, we'll help as much as we can. Keep the feedback coming. Keep the conversation flowing essentially with the editor, and we'll do our best to support it. There you go. Right. That kind of puts us through most of the roadmap. Now, if you have been on our forums and you have been sending in questions, I've got a list of things that I do want to talk about. We have actually talked about a lot of the questions that were on the forums already. Some of them involved like the editor fixes, and some of them involved other bits. I want to touch on the TSW4 modding support, which we kind of roughly touched on earlier. So like what happened with the October 31st patch, we put out an update that ended up breaking some of the modding functionality. So to start, obviously we don't necessarily officially support mods, but we know they exist. We know they're a really big thing for the community, and we don't want to interfere with that. We want to support that as long as it can exist. So we ended up rolling back the patch that ended up changing the core mods that worked, but we know that some mods still don't work with Train Sim World 4. and that's being worked on. That's one of our higher priority issues that we're trying to resolve. Again, we'll let you know when we have a resolution for that, but we're trying to work on allowing the mod's functionality to come back to where it was with Train Sim Mod 3. As kind of a bundling in on that, the editor improvements that we're doing will also help improve mods as well. They're kind of interlinked. Is there anything you want to add there, Matt? Because the actual technical side of that I'm less familiar with, but
Yeah, so I mean, actually, the fix that I ultimately broke it was intended to actually solve some problems with mod support. And one of the things that confused matters was some of the beta testers it was working fine with, and some it wasn't working with. And what we think now is the case is that some combinations of mods kind of worked around what the issue was being caused. Whereas if you didn't have that combination of mods, then you ran into the problem. So we were able to pin it down to that one change, revert that change, and at least get it back to where it was, so that some of the top mods that you've been able to use, you can then get back to using. So we're reworking that fix to get it done in a way that doesn't then break everything. And the other thing we're doing is that we're looking at the sort of the top most common mods. One of the things we've done is just set up in our beta Discord. We've set up an unofficial modding channel, and we've got some modders and people who intensively use mods who are now recommending mods that should be actually part of our testing process, so that
yeah,
when we're going to put a fix out, when we put a patch out, part of our sign off for that will be to actually run it with those mods or combinations of those mods installed, so that we can make sure that at least those things still work. And if those things do work, chances are most other things should be fine as well. So we're going to try and improve the process on that front and actually make unofficial mods part of the process
yeah,
for that. So now that, just to caveat that, if something happens in the future where we have to break mods to do something we want to do or need to do in the game, then we will. But I don't want to break mods pointlessly. And by and large, there's very little reason that we should need to break mods. So this is kind of our step to make sure that is that if we are not specifically intending to break mods, and if we ever do, we'll let you know and explain it, and try and work with the modders to make any updates. But but vast majority of the changes should not have any impact. So if it breaks, it's because something's gone wrong with the process. So hopefully now that will protect that, and then working with modders and mod users on the beta group, we should have a better communication to try and improve that going forward. And then the thing about the editor is that obviously when you make a package, you want to use a package. What's that package? It's a mod. So the game needs to have, if we're going to improve unofficial modding support, we'll be improving official modding support. There's kind of a hand-in-hand set of changes there. By improving, or adding and improving official mod support, that will naturally improve unofficial modding support as well. So, and we'll be able to. One of the things I want to come out with is guidance on how to construct your mods, because one of the things that we have found is that there's a variety of things that people are doing when they make unofficial mods, which are part of what's causing some problems when you use them, and it's just package the mod slightly differently and all the problems go away. So so we'll come back with some documentation once we've formalized and finalized that, and know that we're absolutely spot on and we've not just missed something else. So, and we're not there yet. We just want to get that right. So that stuff is what's coming, and we want to give modders some support, both using the official tools and also making sure that we're not creating unnecessary problems for unofficial modding as well.
yeah. Fantastic summary. I do want to clarify that when we mention that we're going to be putting a series of unofficial mods through our testing process, it certainly won't be all of them, and we're not opening this up to say, hey, send us in your mods. We're going to be selecting mods that we know that are prevalent within the community, and we're going to be kind of testing that as we please. Just know that it's good to have them in the testing process. It will help us understand if there are potential issues that could affect mods, but it's not like a submit them in kind of deal. We'll just be actively testing around them, and that's a
Yeah.
big enough kind of change in itself.
Yeah, well, we again working with the the consumers and the mod authors that we've got in the beta group. Plus, I think there's a thread on the forum asking for what all of your top favorite mods are, and we'll pick the most common ones that are used by the majority of people, because you don't need to test every single mod that changes sounds on a train. If you test one, that's enough to prove that the technology works, and that the process of loading the mod and overriding content works correctly. The same for mods that affect core, like God mode and so forth, and making sure that that stuff is working okay. You don't have to test every example of every type of thing. You just need to make sure you've got enough of a spread of commonly used things, and then you get the broad. Now, maybe that'll mean that there's some outliers that get missed, but we shouldn't have anything which completely breaks modding again.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Let's take a pause for a sec. I know I saw someone in the chat saying that they missed Maintalbahn. What's happening with it? Essentially, Maintalbahn, really quickly, we've got screenshots on the roadmap. We've got a little bit of developer insight from Lucas. We don't have a mastery tile video to show you, but the mastery tile is like this fantastic clip of a boat kind of launching into from the dock into the river. It's coming soon. We don't have a release date, so stay tuned.
I can't believe you're rubbing more salt into that wound. It's like, here's a great thing that we can't show you. Moving on.
Well, it's because I'm gonna try and I'll tell you what. By Friday this week, I'll get it on YouTube. Okay, we'll get rid of the thing that shouldn't have been there, and we'll get it up so everyone can see it because we were meant to have it. So I'll see if I can get that live. But on to another question. Now, I think this is really important to talk about, and it wasn't really on my plan, but I know Matt, this is something we're both close with. Is will there be any updates addressing audiences with different disabilities and helping improve the accessibility of the game? This is something that
So
we're really big on.
yeah, we're always keen to know that. In fact, we've just been having an interesting discussion with someone on the forums that raised an issue about dead zones and the importance of dead zones, because we don't actually have dead zone at the moment in our controller implementation, and how that actually causes some awkwardness and difficulty in using it. So we're looking at what we can do to help there. We already in TSW4 we added an absolute mega ton of new mappable keyboard bindings. So if there's keyboard bindings that you wish were there that aren't there, come and send me a DM on the forums and let me know what extra keyboard bindings would make life easy, because that's not too difficult to add those. I can get those scheduled in at some point. And then really it's what else will help you. One of the processes we use is just for people just talking on the forums, or if you don't want to talk publicly, send a message to Alex or myself and just say, hey, this is what playing the game is like for me, and this is what would help me. This is the adding of in the internal slash vertical bar, horizontal bar on signal indicators was a result of that type of conversation. The importance of haptics, the importance of keyboard bindings, and all these things all came about with forum conversations or one-on-one conversations with people who are just saying, hey, this would make my life easy. This is why actually it's really hard to play at the moment, and there's a really simple thing you can do to fix it. So it's kind of like, I'm really keen to hear those stories. We could scattergun and spend a ton of time doing stuff which actually would detract from other areas of the game and maybe not help you in the way that you would like it to be helped. I know one of the things we've talked about in the past with people is for those suffering from color blindness would be the ability for the signals in the route itself to have alternative color aspects rather than the red, yellow, green, so that it's more high contrast and more easy to see without having to rely on having a HUD with these extra markings on it. So again, that's one of the things that I'd like to look at. I'm not saying we are looking at it. It's one of the things that's on my list of things. I maintain a list of here's the sort of things I would like to do to the game, and then someone comes to me with an impassioned story of, well, this, I'm just like, okay, that's clearly more important, and we'll bump it to the top of the list. It's what's affecting you all as players is the most important. So tell me, so that we can help. Someone I mentioned, Toaster asked about HOTAS support. So we have got an API coming at some point for support for external hardware. We've kind of got the first-ish release, coming along nicely. But what it's missing is all documentation, examples, and so forth, so that you can actually then know how to use it. And that won't be an end user thing. That will be something that someone can then make to plug into it for your hardware. It's not going to be like an extra set of menus in the game. It's the thing you use to write code to plug into it. But it's what unlocks the ability for that to happen, and that also enables support for anything in the way of hardware input and output. So there's potentially some pretty exciting stuff coming there, but we need to do some more testing on it. I know there's some more features need to go into it, but I'm already seeing people in the test community that we've got here starting to sort of make some interesting use of it. So coming at some point.
Yeah, I mean, like, as with a lot of things, we'll say the kind of the typical, wait for news more, wait for when it comes. But just know that when we talk about this, we genuinely care about these things and we genuinely care about the improvements, especially when it comes to accessibility. Like, when it comes to certain players talking about their own experiences with what's available in the game, when we think about accessibility improvements, they're not dedicated for the specific few that need them. When you add these improvements, you find that actually a wide range of your audience end up using them because they're there. Quite a lot of users may not need accessibility settings, but having them there is a benefit to them. And then for the people that are really impacted by them, it's what allows them to play. It's what allows them to use it in the way they want to. So, so we're really big on it. Obviously, we've recently partnered with Special Effects. I mean, this man right here has raised plenty of money from the community as well, for Special Effects, and we work actively with their teams, and we're looking to bring them into our office and all that good stuff. But just know that these kind of accessibility changes are really important to us. So thank you for the question. But we do have a list, an agenda of items that I do want to talk about, but that was a really good one from the chat. Now, I'm going to pass through a few issues. So we know substitution issues are a thing. This is a known issue. We actively have it on our kind of community issue trackers as well as our internal trackers as well. I don't know if there's more you need to add, Matt, but realistically, this is a known issue. We're working on it. Again, you'll have to just take our word, but we'll let you know when we've got improvements for this.
I spoke to the engineering team yesterday, and just to make sure it was on their list to get done sooner rather than later, which it is. So we have an idea of what the issue is there. So it's I don't have any kind of a concrete update other than to say spoke to someone yesterday. It's on their mind.
Yep, it's a known issue, and we'll kind of be going through, and I just want to touch on a lot of things, because again, we had the Q&A thread for the roadmap up about a week prior to when we usually put it up, and I wanted to ask everyone in that, just let us know and upvote the things you really want us to talk about. And so here we are, the missing AI PIS for Southeastern High Speed, for BCC, for New York-Trenton. It's a known issue. We're working on it. It's on the list. We'll say that about a lot of things, but realistically, there will be priorities, especially recently for Train Sim Mod 4 launch. There's been a lot of things that have really needed our priority. PlayStation crashes, Xbox crashes, the mods issues for PC users on Steam, for example. There are priority lists when it comes to these things, but we know these are issues. We know they are key community issues, and we will prioritize, we will change our priority lists based on what the community want. So expect more from us on these issues. Just to name a few more, Azuma sound mixing. Currently, there are no further changes planned to the Azuma sound mixing. Don't know if there's anything more to add really there, Matt.
Tell me what you think is wrong with it. We spoke to after we did the last round of Azuma audio changes because it was too quiet and there were a number of things wrong with it. We've fixed all of that. We've been speaking to Azuma drivers who think it's pretty spot on now. So if you think it should be better, different, louder, whatever, send me a message. Tell me what you think. So not ruling any changes out, but we've not got any planned.
Yeah, none planned at the moment. Onto the Scotsman. So we did do a re-recording session. Now, actually, in the October 31st patch notes, you can see that we did actually add the new chuffing sounds for the Scotsman in. So that was what that re-recording session kind of helped work towards. But we are also aware of the volume of the AWS, the sounds, and that's in the works. There's no schedule for it going into a release build, but we will let you know. And finally, just a couple other points. Rain in tunnels for both Bakerloo and Southeastern High Speed. Again, that's an issue that I've personally signed off myself. It's been logged. We know it, we're aware of it. Obviously, rain appearing in tunnels as a visual thing isn't ideal. It's certainly not high in terms of priority when it comes to crashes or important fixes, but it's on the list. And we don't have any plans for BML. Remind me, Matt, what's BML?
Brighton.
The Brighton Mainline. Oh, I thought I had them down. There's no updates planned. So currently that's what we've got on the plan. We want to be open, we want to be honest, but again, when it comes to roadmap thoughts and Q&As, please put everything in the roadmap Q&A thread and we can discuss everything we talked about. And that's it. That's everything on my lovely document I've been staring at for the last hour and a half. We have got a section for live Q&A. So I'll tell you what, everyone in the chat, I'm going to take a nice sip of water. Let us know some questions that we can try and answer for the next 5 or 10 minutes or so.
Rain will be in any tunnel area, Raw DC, because of the nature of the problem. Essentially, the area of the code which is detecting whether it's undercover or not isn't working properly, so it doesn't know it's undercover. So we have started looking into what's going on with that one. Chronicle Toxic, the unit numbers, no, that one hasn't been looked at yet, but is in the ticket list to be looked at. What else have we got?
No PowerPoint presentation, not today.
Oh, Alex is just getting started learning the ropes, Mod Pete. We'll get him up to his 4-hour signaling presentation at some point.
I was seeing a lot about Z fighting for Xbox consoles. Now, I do remember seeing this as an issue. Matt, do you know if that's been logged in our system?
I believe it is. It is a conversation I need to have with the team. They've been busy with crashes and so forth, so I know it's a pain. I feel the pain, and I need to understand what's different about it when it runs on the Xbox versus other platforms. It's a Z fighting issue. It's the decals are fighting with the surface that they're on.
Yeah.
And I don't know quite why it's different on that platform. So, no, aware of it, and it's a conversation I need to have with the team, but I don't have anything beyond that. Anarchist Angel, I talked about the API a minute ago, so rewind the video.
That was only a few minutes ago as well. Just missed it. When will the US route be announced? Our announcements will come as they usually do. I mean, just in this roadmap alone, we've announced the Bernina line. So, I mean, just follow us. If you are on our forums, we have an announcements channel on there. If you follow us on social, we have announcements kicking off over our socials. If you want to join in our Discord, we don't have an official Dovetail Games or Train Sim World Discord, but there is an unofficial community Discord, which is just as lovely, which you can search by searching just Train Sim World Community Discord. And we're active in that, and we share news on that as well. US route, yeah, we'll share more on the upcoming routes, and we're glad. What are your thoughts in terms of the new graphic? Just roughly, just for our own visibility, as we've recently changed how we announce and how we plan our upcoming 0 to 3 months, 4 to 6 months, 6 months plus. Do you like the ability to see more into the future, even if it just says US route? Let us know your thoughts.
Matt, did you talk to him about your idea for button binding for coming and confirming AFB speed? Yes, I have got a ticket in with the team to get them to have a look at that as soon as they can. Yes, that was a good shout. This is for other people. This is on the Vectron. When you move the AFB, which you can do on the controller, you have to confirm it, which you can't do on the controller through a direct button. You've got to point over the thing and click on it with that one. So yeah, it's there's a good shout on from only me. So I passed that on to the team and trying to find out how we make that happen.
Forgive me, but isn't JD the community manager? He actually isn't. He's the director of community. He's the boss man in community. I am just a humble community manager, part of JD's team, and I'm kind of like stepping into the roadmap, seeing myself. JD is driving home. I hope he's had a lovely drive home, and I hope he's tucking into some dinner at the moment. Maybe he's tuning in. There was a question I wanted to ask, and I've lost it now. It's like fighting for fish in the sea. Here it is. There's still problems with Creators Club liveries from Train Sim World 2. Now, we did put an improvement that should have fixed most of these. So I know this is still an existing issue. Some people have said that their Creators Club liveries aren't still displaying as they would. I can chase this and see where we are, because there are a couple things that we've improved recently that have been improved for most people, but maybe not for everyone. So who knows whether that's you've fully updated the game, or we still need to look into this and make sure it's been fully patched up. But that is one that I will write down just now. Liveries. Is Train Sim World 4 out physical for PS5, please? Oh no. I happen to forget. Have we actually released the physical edition? I don't believe we have. I don't believe that's come out
If
yet.
not by now, it's soon. I believe. I don't remember when it's coming out now, but it's on its way.
How much is the Pacer route? Now that is a good one. The Blackpool route will be £29.99 Great British pounds, €34.99 euros, $39.99 US dollars. So kind of the standard route price structure that we usually go for. The Pacer route being Blackpool Branches, and that releases in a week today. Thank you. Okay, you know what? We've answered quite a few questions. I know there are more, and trust me, we're not trying to ignore them. But we also have our own dinners to tuck into at some point. Please go to the November roadmap Q&A thread. I can actually just throw a link to that in the description and send your questions there. It's the same thread that we would have asked for questions for this very stream, but we will still look after this. We'll look over it and answer questions that we find on it. From the community, from the team, myself, from Jan as well, and JD will be active in it. So send your questions onto that link I've just put a couple times into the chat there. That's our November roadmap thread, and we'll be active over it. Right, Matt, have you had a good evening?
I've had a fantastic evening. Thank you, Alex. You've been a magnificent host. Vast improvement, I might even suggest.
Well, we would have, in fact, we would have possibly had a league if JD had been here, which would have just been fitting, really, wouldn't it? I won't put any more shame on JD. He's a fantastic host himself. But
No, it's been again. It's been really good. It's been fantastic. Well done, Alex. Yes, actually viewers have been great. Actually, been really good chat.
Yep. Thank you, everyone. Again, put your questions in that thread link I put above. I know there are more that we need to get to, and we will come tomorrow morning. That'll be a lovely job for the community team. And really, we want to answer as many things as we can. But for the roadmap today, if you are joined us now, bad time, you've just kind of missed it all, but you can rewind. It's okay. Our roadmap for November 2023 is out. As a quick summary, let's go back to the graphic. There it is. So, big things. We have Blackpool Branches, the latest TSW route, coming soon, coming in a week. That's the next release. We've got Bernina line being announced. It's a Rivet Games route. I should mention that the Blackpool route is from Just Trains. Bernina line is a Rivet game. It's a Swiss route that also touches into Italy. Fantastic. We've got a couple gameplay packs coming from Rivet. That is the Engineering Express for ScotRail Express, as well as the Arosa Aggregates pack for the Arosa line. We also have a new partner called SimTrack Studios, who are making a regional railways class 323 pack, loco and gameplay pack as well. We also have a gameplay pack coming up soon from Skyhook and Maintalbahn. There's no release date yet. The prices have been released: £24.99, €29.99 and dollars. That will be coming soon. Again, stay on our socials. You'll be hearing more about the release date very soon. And then there's also a suspicious US route coming soon. So again, you'll hear more about this. We'll talk about it when it's time. But time right now is we're going to say goodnight. Thank you for joining us. It's been a fantastic roadmap stream. And yeah, that'll do us. Thank you, Matt, as well for your time.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, everybody.
And we'll see you all around the community. So for now, bye-bye. Where's my thanks for watching? There we go. Bye-bye.